Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be taking a look into Tropical Storm Sally. We're only going to be taking a look into Sally today because I'm sure everyone wants more information about Sally, of where it's going to be going, what the impacts are, so that's what we're going to be looking into today. We're not going to do all of these systems here today. Today it's just mainly going to be about Sally, which is this one right here, currently west of Florida. Has 60-mile-per-hour winds, pressure is 998 millibars, so it's currently pretty much getting close to a strong tropical storm, or just a medium, kind of like tropical storm as well. If we go ahead and click on it, let's take a look at the impacts from the National Hurricane Center in their forecasts. And as you can see here, where it's looks to be going, it looks like it's going to be making landfall somewhere in southeastern Louisiana. You do have hurricane warnings in effect for most of those regions. You do have tropical storm warnings for the coast of Alabama, and also as well as portions of the Florida Panhandle coast there as well, and even portions of south central Louisiana as well. So this is the current forecast for landfall at this point here. Bad news is it's going to be slowing down before landfall, and that's some bad news uh, there as well. Let's take a look into a storm surge forecast, and kind of the worst case scenario right now for storm surge is that where some of the highest storm surge could get into these lakes here. That could be really concerning. You can see, uh, I'm not going to try to pronounce this, but these two lakes here could be 4 to 6 feet with storm surge. You got really anywhere from the mouth of the Mississippi River to Ocean Springs. Could see 7 to 11 feet of storm surge. That's looking to be the highest at this point. Then Mississippi Alabama border in Ocean Springs, 4 to 7 feet. Mobile Bay, even into Alabama Florida border, 2 to 4 feet. Then really anywhere from the state line all the way to whatever that city name is, I don't know. But 1 to 3 feet. You got 4 to 7 feet anywhere from Port Fourchon to the mouth of the Mississippi River, 4 to 7 feet. And then Burns Point to Port Fourchon, 1 to 3 feet. So still not looking good for the storm surge forecast. It'd be 7 to 11 feet. It's quite high when you think about it. So not looking good for storm surge at all. Definitely could be a life-threatening situation there. Now, one of the biggest time threats is not the wind, but not quite much for the wind, but the rain. Now, they have recently backed off a little bit with those rainfall totals. Some areas was going to see maybe around 20 inches, which is in this region, or if you kind of get into portions of southern Mississippi and eastern Louisiana, could have seen 15 to 20 inches of rain, which that's in those pink colors there. But it seems like a general for right now, it's looking to be 10 to 15 inches, although some isolated areas could see amounts higher than that, which is not good. Still, 4 to 6 inches of rain still could be a significant amount of rain to keep in mind of that. 2 to 4 inches of rain could lead to flash flooding, so that's about in the dark green. And this is, uh, I believe they have this throughout the entire event. Well, valid through 7 a.m. Friday. Yeah, pretty much throughout this entire week here. This is the rainfall forecast there. Let's take a look to the flash flood potential forecast here. Flash flooding. And as you can see here, there is a moderate risk for southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, into portions of Florida, and also into far eastern Louisiana as well. Got a moderate risk in place there as well on day 3. And you got a slight risk surrounding that moderate risk as well. So basically, moderate risk is a 20% chance of seeing some flash flooding, and a slight risk is a 10% chance. Although, would not be surprised to see some of these about to get higher, and we may get to see an upgrade as well for confidence to be higher, where landfall could happen. But let's go back to the forecast code very quickly here. Now, you can see, are they expecting this to be, I believe that's a Category 1 hurricane at landfall, Category 1, at least a strong Category 1 hurricane. But however, you can see how large this cone is before landfall. It's like anywhere from Mississippi to central, well, pretty much Mississippi, Alabama state line to central Louisiana. So it's quite a spread of where the scissor storm could potentially go. But when you get later in time, like 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday, you can see where the cone is, anywhere from central Kentucky to south central Georgia. So it's a very large area of uncertainty here by the models. Alright, let's take a look at the satellite imagery here. You can actually see here, got a decent amount of convection here. You do have some convection trying to go away from the main circulation that is due to LLC that's over here, somewhere in Florida, I do believe. We also do have somewhat of northwest wind shear as well, but even still with some of these components, Sally's still slightly gaining strength, but the good news is those two things there are slowing down its intensity, which is some good news here. If we don't have those in place, it probably at this point will be a strong tropical storm at this point here. But there's some good news as of right now with Sally. So let's take a look into here, and let's take a look into the tracks for the hurricane model. So you can see here, still quite a spread, anywhere from the Alabama and Florida border to central Louisiana. Quite a spread, but if you look to the consistency of the models, you can see it kind of makes a hit between southeastern Louisiana into south central Mississippi here. So that's not too bad of a spread there of where landfall could happen. But you can tell here by a good track of these models. I mean, hour 120 is 5 days. You can see here how long it could potentially stick around. So it could be stick around for about 4 days in these regions in here. At least 2 to 3 days, 4 days into some of these regions, which is not good for the rain. You know, some amounts could be very high. You also can have a lot of storm surge that can be going on, high storm surge, I should say, in those regions. But you can see are kind of all over the place. It could potentially stay stationary over some of these areas in here, which is not good news there. That'd be the worst case scenario with that there. So let's take a look into some other balls here. This is the GFS ensembles here. Kind of quite a different story here. They got the mean over into central Louisiana. It kind of has, and kind of curves farther to the north into more Tennessee as well. So quite a bit of uncertainty here with the track from the GFS ensembles. 608 don't have the parallel ensemble forecast there. So here's the intensity guidance. I'll say this likely become a Category 1 hurricane before landfall. The biggest question is, could it potentially use a Category 2? It's definitely possible. It really depends on if, the northwest shear can go away, and same thing for the LLC. That's currently going on. And adding on top of that, you got very warm sea surface temperatures, and also it's going to be moving very slow, which is not good. That's kind of your worst case scenario at this point here. You got a very slow moving system over very warm waters as well. So definitely not looking good there. So let's take a look at the European model. Well underdone with the winds with this here, just to warn you guys with that. You can see here 35-mile-per-hour winds at max. Highly doubt that. Definitely well behind with the system. But you can see here where it makes landfall, kind of between New Orleans and Lafayette there, somewhere in that region. Good news is it'll be missing to the east of Lake Charles, where they got hit hard by Laura. So that's some good news at this point here. You can see, looks like it makes landfall by really Tuesday afternoon to the evening hours. But if we turn on, rain and thunder here, you can see here definitely showing quite a bit of rain here. If we move on to 9 a.m. Thursday, definitely quite a little bit further north of the track, but look at all that rain on the northern end of the system. If we turn on the rain accumulation, here. Let's go next 10 days here. You can see around New Orleans could see 10.5 inches of rain. Could be about a foot of rain into a few areas as well. But one thing to know is there is a widespread rainfall amounts 5 to 8 inches. I mean, really, in this entire area in here. So that's not that's not really good news. That's quite a bit of rain there. And you could be able to tell kind of the track from the GFS. You can see it's much further south, and also landfall so a little bit further east as well. So quite a bit of uncertainty at this point, which is not good news here from Sally. So especially if it makes landfall a little bit earlier, it could be a weaker system, but if it makes landfall later, it could be a little bit of a stronger system. Now let's take a look into some wind shear, which is kind of one of the limiting factors right now. You could see on the northeast side of the system, you do have some northwest shear going on. Now some good news for the GFS here. Wind shear really increases on the northern end of the system. You can see how it really runs into that wind shear. So when it gets over land, it should die down fairly quickly here. So there's some good news there. At least there will still be some wind shear around Sally here at this point. So at least there's some good news um, with Sally and some bad news there as well. But there's still a lot of uncertainties with Sally at this point here. Again, you can see the cone very large here, but we'll have a better idea as it kind of gets closer to landfall. But so for like anybody that lives like in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and even into the Panhandle, Florida, just be prepared for any impact like flooding, strong winds. There could be even maybe a couple of tornadoes out there as well. So definitely stay weather aware in those states there as well. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys like this video, hit the like button. If you really do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.